I'm not buying a lot of the shit anymore, guys. It's like the moon turns at the same rate that it goes around the Earth. You know that there's a much simpler explanation for that, right? Like it's the same part of the moon all the time that we see. You see the same half of the moon all the time. And people, it's the only time it's ever been observed, allegedly, is that it spins at the same exact rate that it turns around the Earth. So it spins oddly, and it's the only time it's perfectly. If it spun a half a mile per hour faster or slower, it would gradually turn in the sky. It's perfect. And you only see what, and there's nothing that would cause that. It's not like magnetism or anything. No other moon does that. No other planet does that. So what we can see and feel has been discredited because we're on a spinning ball, spinning thousands of miles an hour in an infinite void, spinning around a fireball, going nowhere because an infinitely small thing exploded, and it's exploding until infinite cooling, and 90% of the matter and energy you can't see, touch, or feel. It's called dark energy, dark matter, and everything is pointless, and human beings are nothing but random atoms that have collided together. No. Nope. Have you ever been on a conveyor belt, like in the airport? If it goes slightly faster or slightly slower, you feel it, right? How fast do they say the Earth is spinning right now? And by the way, I'm not making any statements. None. I'm just being skeptical. Isn't that what science tells us? And the people's fear of discussing any of this is a red flag. When they're like, oh God, are you one of those stupid idiots? Listen to what I'm saying. How fast does the Earth spin? 1,000 miles an hour. So 1,000th of 1,000 miles an hour is 1 mile an hour shift. If you're going 1,000 miles an hour, if it changes 1,000th, okay, let's say it changes 100th, 1%. A 1% change in speed for whatever reason, which happens. That would be a 10 mile an hour shift. Okay, have you ever been on a conveyor belt that's going 10 miles an hour and then it stops? That's what you would feel if the spin of the Earth shifted 1%. People are like, asteroids, magnetism, the fact that there's an unfathomable amount of water on it just shifting all the time. If the space is void of everything, right? It's a perfect vacuum. You see, a vacuum cleaner is not a perfect vacuum, right? So this is the journey I've been on. Then I'll read more PayPals. I wasn't even planning on talking about this, but oh, and by the way, Bill Nye the Science Guy says he proves that the Earth is a ball because you can see a ship slowly disappear in the horizon. You can't. That isn't even true. Do you know that every mile squared is 8 inches? So at 1 mile, there should be an 8-inch drop. At 2 miles, there should be is it 64-inch drop? 3 miles, it's an exponential shift. I can't remember the exact math. But there's salt flats in South America that's like 150 miles, so you can see across. If the Earth was curved the way they say it's curved, there would be like a 8,000-foot drop. The irony is people say that you're so stupid if you question NASA's depiction of the Earth when, okay, so the ultimate vacuum, right? Why wouldn't the molecules of the atmosphere be sucked out into space? There's an answer to this. It's a slow gradient, so that the farther away you get, it balances out with gravity. This is what the scientists say. So way, way, way up there, the air is so thin, and gravity is still affecting it, that it's just kind of a slow, gradual thing, and that's why there isn't a big difference between the vacuum of space and Earth. Like if it was this air pressure and the vacuum of space, it would just go, it would just be like opening a door in an airplane. But since the farther up you go, the less air pressure you have, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that doesn't really work. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're traveling from California to New York, and the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour underneath you, and you're going 300 miles an hour, okay, you would never get to your destination. And if someone says, no, but you're within the atmosphere. No, you just said we weren't. The vacuum of space, right? Way up, 30,000 feet off above. There's so little atmosphere that you're not connected to the atmosphere of space. That's why the vacuum literally isn't sucking anything, because it's a slow gradient to infinite nothingness, right? So if you're in an airplane at 30,000 feet, you're not in the atmosphere. There's so few air molecules, like you're not part of this. Like if you jump right now, or if you jump on an airplane, you're in the atmosphere, you're in the same, it's all relative, so you just jump up and down even though things are moving very fast, right? Way up there, the Earth would just be spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So just look at an apple. If you're just turn an apple. Let's say you're trying to travel this way and you're going 1/3 the speed it's spinning the opposite direction. Not only would you never get to your destination, you would be going backwards. And by the way, if you can't immediately explain that, yeah, I'm sure you can look it up and talk to Bill Nye the Science Guy, whatever. The fact that you have never even thought of that means there's more to this story than meets the eye. That means you've been indoctrinated. Why do they keep selling us on the same thing? Infinite emptiness, heliocentric model, that's a cult. The sun cult. I don't know what it is. I don't. All I know is NASA lies all the time. All I know is that our observable reality is the Earth is not moving. All I know is that the sun and the moon, the sun is 400 times farther away and 400 times bigger than the moon. That's why they're exactly the same size. Do you know the odds of that? Almost zero. It's so zero that our two biggest celestial objects are exactly the same size in the sky, even though the difference in size is 400 times different in size, but yet they're the same size in the sky. That's not a natural reason. That's a lie. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. It's like as if, like this phone, if I just randomly held up my phone, it's the same exact size of my window, the square, exact. Except now make it huge, make it 93 million miles and just make it the only two objects in the sky, and they just happen to do eclipses perfectly. That's ridiculous. Why would a lighthouse work? How many inches per mile curve does the Earth curve? The Earth has a radius of approximately, 8 inches per mile squared. Okay. How far away can a ship see a lighthouse? 42 miles away. That would fall 996 feet below sightline. No questions. Just all good. I don't think all good. There would be 1,000 feet of drop. 1,000 feet. Have you ever shined a flashlight over a 1,000-foot hole? If you're in the bottom of the hole, you wouldn't see the flashlight. Do you even know what light is? What a photon is? Oh, it's a wave and a particle. How? Care to explain how some can be a wave and a particle, depending on who you're lying to? Doesn't add up. Doesn't add up, guys. Doesn't add up one bit. So this is how lies fall apart. One honest person questioning always spirals lies. So when I thought that the vacuum of space, because I don't have an agenda. I'm not in the Flat Earth Society. I think that's a psyop, by the way. The vacuum of space doesn't suck out the atmosphere because it's such a slow gradient that up there isn't really atmosphere. That it counterbalances with gravity, inertia, all these forces, so that the air molecules just kind of stay in a haze, and there's basically no atmosphere whatsoever, to the point where a perfect vacuum doesn't suck it, right? That's where the planes are. If an Earth is going 1,000 miles an hour underneath a plane, and a plane's going 300 miles an hour, how on earth is it traveling west to east? No one cares, huh? And when people call me stupid, you don't even know how planes work. Bernoulli's principle, none of that stuff. I look into all this stuff, and I'm not trying to make people think the Earth is flat. I can't imagine the Earth being flat. I think that's insane. That to me is so unnatural of a thought, but I mean, just all evidence says that. I mean, all navigation is based on a flat Earth. How the fuck do planes travel west to east, east to west? Do they go 1,300 miles an hour if they're going with the spin? Doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. The Big Bang. So all the matter and energy in the universe came from a speck What made the speck? What made the bang? Oh, whatever. None of it. I don't know if it's flat or not, but it's not moving. It's not moving. It's not moving, guys. There's no move. Just go on and do your own experiments. You know something's a lie when you can't figure anything out yourself, and the quote-unquote experts have all been caught lying about everything. All of it. Notice all the people saying flat Earth is a psyop. None of them say anything about any of the points I just made. They don't care about the points I'm making. All what it's called gaslighting or ad hominem. What I just talked about with the Earth spinning 1,000 miles an hour and why an airplane can still fly west to east and east to west with relatively the same speed. And then if you say it's still part of the atmosphere, no, it isn't. It isn't, because up there the atmosphere would then be sucked into the vacuum of space. No one's talking about that. All they're doing is trying to discredit a thought without addressing any of the things I just said. And that's how you know someone's a liar. Because this world is full of liars and full of people that had bad fathers who were terrified of failure. You know, every time I play a clip, it's like, oh my God, I mean, they're not even laughing. I mean, they're terrified because their dads failed them. The sun and the moon travel across the sky at the same speed. Okay, now that you've justified in your mind that they're the same size, even though they're 400 times different in size, allegedly, they're traveling in 12-hour increments across the sky at the same speed. Do you know the odds that that's also true? There's no physical reason that would be. Okay, if the moon is traveling around the Earth and the Earth is traveling around the sun, why would they be going the same speed relative to our eyes? They wouldn't. The odds of that are zero. Statistically, the odds are zero. That they're the same size, they're going the same speed. Sorry. Real quick, someone said, Owen, they're not going the same speed. That's why we have the moon cycle. We have the moon cycle because of the shadow. It's a 28-day cycle because of the shadow on the moon. That's why, you know, waning moon, new moon, full moon. It's a 28-day cycle based on how the moon appears in the sky. It is traveling through the sky at the same speed as the sun. Look it up before criticizing. How's that sound, guys? By the way, for most of human existence, no one thought the Earth was a ball spinning through infinite vacuum around a fireball. Okay, Earth's tilt is exactly 66.6 degrees. Okay. Watch Google try desperately to not reveal this next. How fast is the Earth going? About 67,000. Oh, you mean 66,600 miles an hour? Okay, now that you know it's probably made up. You understand that they get to just pick these numbers. Since there is no, let's say it isn't real. Let's just say hypothetically, let's do one of those Einstein thought experiments. You get to just make up the numbers. So you're like, okay, let's say it's tilted at 66.6 degrees, but you have to inverse it, put it upside down in order to see it. How fast is it going? You know how fast. 66,600 miles an hour. It's great. If you don't find it interesting, you're hiding something. Even if you think that the Earth is a ball, just cruising around, if you don't find these the fact the sun and the moon are going the same speed in the sky and they're the same size, that doesn't, the statistical probability is zero. So, and that all the numbers around it are 666. And that if you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour, if there's a slight change in speed, you would fly through the air like you just hit a tree. And also planes wouldn't be able to operate. And if you say that it's because it's in the atmosphere and everything's relative, you don't understand how the atmosphere works, because there is no atmosphere for all intents and purposes where the plane is flying. And that's the reason that the infinite vacuum of space doesn't suck out our atmosphere, because one or the other can't be true. They both can't be true. You can't say that the infinite void of space doesn't suck out the atmosphere because there's a slow, gradual gradient until there's almost none, and that's where the planes fly. But for some reason, the Earth is not spinning relative to a plane, which is no longer in the atmosphere. Pretty interesting stuff, huh? Oh, and you were wonderful. I present an ideological proposition for contemplation. The earth is not flat. The earth is not a globe. The earth is a plane of consciousness. See, I'll listen to any of that shit. That's why I don't understand why people won't just think about another idea. They're like, no, it's a perfect sphere spinning through void around a fireball. It's like, well, no. I mean, maybe. I mean, in all these thought experiments, people can answer each one of them kind of well. It's like fishy, but you can't do all of them. And it's not like one of those Scott Adams things where he's like, well, I mean, if you have to list a list of things, it's like, no, I'm listing a statistical model here, Scott, where the odds that these celestial things that we see in the sky are the same size, going the same speed, are zero. And if it's like, well, you're just picking random fact. No, it's the sun and the moon. It's the sun and the moon cycle. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, there's that. There's all that. And then the lying about going to the moon and the 1,000-mile-an-hour spinning situation. And the fact that there is a political reason to make people think that their life is nothing but infinitely falling through blackness. When we live in a beautiful, wonderful world full of life and happiness and joy and gratitude and beauty and colors and goats and wives and children and music. And no, you're falling through blackness forever. Sounds like a Jew to me made that up. I don't know about you guys. Regarding the moon, I live where the Truman Show was filmed. I stargaze at night and set my scopes up in the AM. The sun makes sense. The moon is a huge question. At night, there are so many stars, it makes me wonder for sure. You are correct. There's something not natural regarding the moon. Yes. Or there is something natural. It just isn't what they say it is. I am not saying what is in this situation. I'm saying what is most likely not. I don't know if the earth is flat. I don't know if the earth is a zigzag. I don't know if it's a giant dick that we're all just on some dude's dick. But what I'm pretty sure it isn't is a ball of magma and water spinning 1,000 miles an hour through a vacuum. That isn't what is. I don't have the hubris or the experience or the know-how to say what is in this situation. Like, I don't, maybe we have gone to the moon. What they showed us they did not do. Outside of that, I don't know. Maybe there's a fucking elevator that goes to the moon. Maybe it's on a string. I cannot prove what is when it comes to something so mysterious, but it's very, very easy through hypotheticals to prove what is not. Now, I'm less confident about the shape and nature of the earth simply because every instinct of my body thinks it's a globe spinning through space, because I've been told that my whole life so many times that at this point it's like a language. I revert to it no matter how I think. That being said, none of that makes any sense. All right, moving on. Oh, and I will answer all of your questions about the Earth. The reason the atmosphere doesn't fly up into space is because objects don't move unless a force acts upon them. Okay, what force is acting on the atmosphere other than the Earth's gravity? Okay, so if I have a straw and I go, right? Nature abhors a vacuum, right? So when I make a vacuum with the sucking into a straw, it goes up. If you open a door in a plane, all the air just immediately goes out because things like to make, like osmosis, diffusion, all that stuff, they try to get a balance. So the force of gravity, which is so weak it can't be measured, by the way, the strong force, weak force, strong force, weak force, force of gravity, and magnetic force, all the forces acting on an atom, allegedly. The gravity is by far the weakest, and it can't even be measured, and no one really understands it. And if you think you understand gravity, you're a liar, because even Einstein didn't understand gravity. Okay, so gravity is so weak, and it's, by the way, gravity is measured based on the distance from the center mass of an object, right? So 30,000 feet up, gravity is so weak that the atmosphere is so thin that it's just kind of in a haze. There's just not a lot happening up there. Okay, what forces acting on the atmosphere other than Earth's gravity acts in the direction of the center of the Earth's mass? What you're saying is nonsense, by the way, just to let you guys know. So when you say, I will answer all your questions about the Earth, you are not. Let me read what you just said again. The reason the atmosphere doesn't fly off into space is because objects don't move unless a force acts on them. You sure about that? So you think that, oh, I get what you're saying. So the density of molecules in air is what pushes into a vacuum, right? So the higher the air pressure and the bigger the shift to the vacuum, the more it goes, right? So what, I know that. We've established that. Okay, the atmosphere moves with the surface of the Earth. The atmosphere 30,000 feet up of the Earth is not moving 1,000 miles per hour relative to the surface. You have assumed this is what is happening, but it's not happening. Is this the point you're trying to make? The atmosphere moves, all right. How do planes travel east to west? The atmosphere moves with the surface of the Earth. The atmosphere 30,000 feet above the Earth is not moving 1,000 miles per hour relative to the surface. I know that, obviously. Wind speed, tail speed is like what, 100 miles per hour max? You have assumed this is what's happening. No, I'm not. Look, if this is a plane and this is going, let's say the Earth is going 1,000 miles an hour. Let's say this is going 300 miles per hour, ready? 300 miles per hour, 1,000 miles per hour. Okay, Doppler effect. Like if one car is going 10 and one's going 30, that car appears to be going 20 miles per hour about from a fixed position. This is basic. This is 101, guys. You have assumed this is what is happening, but it's not happening. No, I have not assumed. You've assumed my assumption, which makes you a faggot. If you want to know how far away you can see an object, you need to take into account the height of the object. There are online calculations that will do the, okay, so is your average lighthouse 1,000 feet tall? Good. Every experiment conducted has proven that these calculations are perfectly accurate. Any other questions? Yes, you answered no questions. So if a lighthouse can be seen 46 miles away, that curvature would be 1,100, between 900 and 1,100 feet. Okay, so if you think the lighthouse is 1,100 feet tall, I'd like to see the lighthouse. Also, what you just said about the atmosphere moving, you said you assume the atmosphere is moving 1,000 miles per hour. No. In fact, I'm saying the plane is outside of that atmosphere. And by the way, if the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour, it would have gradients all the way up. Like if this air is going out, what you just said doesn't mean anything. And I really hope people see through your nonsense. Very small super chat, by the way, Jonathan. Very, very stingy for all the attention you just required. Hey, Big Bear, Gingerbread Bear here. From conversations with my mother told me about the Big Bang is that during the time of when God's creation, back during the creation, the concept of a day, the first 6 days, could be eons and eons long because the concept of a day didn't have a definition until God created it. Right, yeah, Eden and man. Love you, Big Bear. Kids are awesome. Both, yeah, God created time. You just have to admit, God, which these atheists won't. They only care about their own penises. Globe Earth has almost nothing anymore. I've like looked into this now for months before I wanted to talk about it at all on a stream because you get so beaten down and mocked, and I didn't want to be wrong, or I didn't want to even, because I could still be technically wrong maybe, but I'm not proposing what it is. I'm just saying what there. It's kind of like evolution, you know, like what Vox Day just was interested and just crippled the theory with math. There's no evidence that the Earth is a globe, none. And everyone you think that, you know, every one of the ones that every time you think that they have something to prove, their only proof is they're like 2,500 years of science has brought us to this perfect view of the world and the Earth. In the 1920s, people still thought the world was flat. Egypt, you know when the people that made those pyramids that we still don't know how they did it, they thought the world was under a dome and flat. But everyone's like, yeah, but Bill Nye is most likely a pedophile who has less of a science degree than my wife, who's a stay-at-home mom. The heliocentric model is a lie crafted to set up the alien deception, which will actually be the fallen angels. I believe completely in the alien. They're setting up the alien deception. That's why I don't believe in aliens at all. I spotted that rhetoric a mile away. When you have Bill fucking Clinton and Obama and Bush and these assholes, and they're all like, "I'm not allowed to talk about aliens." It's all a lie. They lie professionally. You know, Barack Obama looked in the camera and said there was a wage gap. That women make 77 cents on the dollar. They're setting up. They don't know it. I don't think they know about the fallen angels plan. I don't know about the fallen angels plan. All I'm saying is they're trying to make the public think that there's aliens. When you turn on the History Channel and all day, every day, it's ancient aliens, that's programming. Do you think you're going to get to like the real heart of the matter on a cable network that you didn't want and they just pump in your house for free? You're retarded. Cody, hey, Big Bear, Pale Rider Bear here. Wow, good to see you, Pale Rider Bear. The Flat Earth versus Globe Earth question is so frustrating to try and figure out. I find it fun. Want to know what I find frustrating? Vaccine talk and 9/11 talk. This is the shit I love. It's like trying to be a sleuth. You know, a group of bears is called a sleuth, right? You guys know that, right? It fits perfectly. A group of bears is called a sleuth. I like sleuthing and figuring things out that don't fucking terrify me. The flat earth thing, the fact people find it terrifying to me is insane. Trying to like get to the bottom of vaccines, I'm kind of like that other dude that wrote to me where it jacks my cortisol and I get real nervous. And that I know that's what the Jews want. So I stay away from all that. All right. About a year ago, I dove into the topic. I basically come to the conclusion that one, I don't know what the true shape of the earth is. That's what I believe as well. Two, if it is a globe, the circumference can't be 24,901 miles because 8 inches per mile is easily disprovable by Chicago skyline being visible 50 miles away across Lake Michigan. Dude, check out the salt flats of, is it Ecuador or Colombia or something, Peru? There's shit that you can see for 150 miles. And at 8 inches per mile, that would put Chicago over 1,500 feet above the curve. That's a good one to use, though, because a lot of people have seen the skyline. Satan is pure falsehood and deception, so 666 recurring so much in the measurements of the heliocentric model clearly indicates to me it is not Logos.